Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Audrey Williams. It's Friday, the first one after our general elections. For some, predictions became reality, while others are still coming to terms with the outcome. But no matter which side you're on, the most important realization is that with unity, hard work, and shared purpose, Jamaica's future is in all our hands. On that note, we have a great show lined up for you. It's all about our children and the community that shapes us, from inspiring stories on literacy to programs that are making a real difference. You won't want to miss it. But first, let's hear from our newsroom.
Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Friday, September 5, 2025. The Caribbean Community CARICOM Election Observation Mission has commended Jamaica for its preparation and conduct of the September 3 general election, noting the absence of voter intimidation or harassment. This was disclosed by Mission Chief Fern Narcisse during a media briefing on Thursday. The overview of the country's electoral process is based on observations at polling stations monitored by the 11-member team. After observing the day's activities, including the opening of the polls, the voting process, poll closure, and ballot counting, Ms. Narcisse reported that operations proceeded smoothly, with effective contingencies applied wherever issues arose.
The mission's general assessment of the day's activities is that the voters were able to cast their ballots without intimidation or harassment, and that the results of the general elections of 3rd September 2025 reflected the will of the people of Jamaica and reinforce their commitment to the democratic process.
Ms. Narcisse added that there were several features in Jamaica's electoral process that are highly commendable and serve as regional benchmarks.
Jamaica is leading the region in a number of reforms, particularly in relation to registration of political parties and campaign financing. The introduction of the EVIS machine as well, we were aware of that, and so we were keen to look at that and see how that would have operated on poll day. And of course, the election center, something else that is quite attractive to a number of other Caribbean countries in terms of how that operates.
According to Ms. Narcisse, the island's election center is regarded by other Caribbean nations as a model of operational excellence. The chief of mission indicated that a comprehensive report detailing the mission's findings and recommendations to further strengthen Jamaica's electoral process will be prepared and submitted to CARICOM Secretary General Dr. Carla Barnett prior to public release. For the third consecutive year, the Court of Appeal has disposed of more cases than were newly filed. That's according to Chief Justice Brian Sykes, who says the increased efficiency of the justice system has not come at the expense of the quality of its decisions.
Most recently, last year, according to our statistician, it's 117.94%. And this makes our Court of Appeal one of the most productive courts in the Commonwealth Caribbean. So far, the data here and in other well-run court systems, there is absolutely zero evidence to suggest that when courts are efficient, the quality of justice is undermined. In fact, what the evidence shows is that it's the contrary. The longer the cases take, it is the worse the quality of justice. So that is why performance standards matter.
The Chief Justice was speaking at a swearing-in ceremony at King's House on Monday, where 5 members of the Judiciary were appointed to permanent posts and another 5 promoted to higher office for the Circuit Court's Michaelmas term. Justice Sykes says the work continues to increase the clearance rate for the Supreme Court.
Has an overall clearance rate of 83%, the first time in living memory or recorded history. So that is some 17% below where we need to be, but nonetheless we have to be thankful because we are coming from below 40%.
Farmers and agricultural stakeholders across Jamaica are set to benefit from financial literacy and business management training. It is being done under Phase 2 of the Rural Agricultural Development Authority RADA Financial Literacy and Inclusion Training Program. The $29 million initiative was launched recently and is a partnership with the Development Bank of Jamaica DBJ and the Jamaica Agricultural Society JAS. With 43 RADA Extension officers now trained under the first phase, the program aims to strengthen the financial capacity of farmers and help them better manage their enterprises. RADA's Chief Executive Officer Garnet Edmondson acknowledged the DBJ's support of the program as an answer to long-standing calls from farmers for financial guidance.
And if we can teach our farmers how to manage how to manage and ensure that the contribution to GDP impacts this country, impact the growth over time, we will be onto something.
Mr. Edmondson urged RADA officers and farm managers to encourage participation, stressing that farmers must begin to view their farms as businesses. Meanwhile, DBJ's Acting General Manager for Project Management, Sophia Bryan Terry, says the initiative will not only strengthen agricultural MSMEs, but also promote sustainable agribusinesses and financing models with private sector support.
Today, I must encourage all our farmers to take full advantage of the training sessions being offered. These sessions are not just about financial literacy, they are about empowering you to grow and scale your businesses, to become investment ready, and to secure your place in Jamaica's formal financial system.
Jamaicans aged 18 to 25 years old who have a strong interest in information technology or cybersecurity are eligible to participate in a national cybersecurity youth training and certification program. Interested persons must submit their applications by September 14, 2025 at surveymonkey.com/r/Jamaica_Cyber Academy. Applicants are required to submit a CV and complete an aptitude assessment. The program is being undertaken by the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information in partnership with the Organization of American States, OAS. The National Cybersecurity Youth Training and Certification Program aims to equip young Jamaicans with cutting-edge skills in cybersecurity and information technology. According to the Education Ministry, the program will run from September 29, 2025 to March 31, 2026. Training will be facilitated by SANS Institute and will be delivered both online and in person. It will cover two core areas: computers, technology and security training, and artificial intelligence security. In addition to technical training, participants will benefit from CV building workshops, interview coaching, and mentorship from OAS and SANS Institute experts. Graduates will also have the chance to earn the Global Information Assurance Certification, which is an international credential at no cost. For more information, you may call 876-579-9704 or email gina.gordon@mns.gov.jm. And finally, the Post and Telecommunications Department is advising persons who use the Negril Post Office that services will be temporarily relocated to the Negril Marine Park facility on Norman Manley Boulevard. The Postal Service says the existing post office has been deemed unsafe for staff and customers due to long-term deterioration. It says interim postal services operating at the Negril Police Station will end on Tuesday, September 9, 2025. Services will resume at the Marine Park location on Friday, September 12, 2025, with operating hours from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. The relocated post office will provide traditional services, including ordinary and registered mail, as well as pension voucher encashment and path check collection. Additional services such as zip mail, fast track, click and ship, and bill express will be introduced gradually. Postal courier delivery services will continue uninterrupted during the relocation period. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
The Statistical Institute of Jamaica Statin will be conducting the 2025 Jamaica Survey of Living Conditions JSLC starting August 2025. For over 30 years, PIOJ analysis of JSLC data has helped to shape national policy, including on education, healthcare, and social support. When the JSLC team visits your home, participate. Your voice helps guide real solutions. For more information, visit statinja.gov.jm or WhatsApp Statin at 876-569-1083.
Reading with your child not only strengthens your bond, but also sparks a lifelong love of learning. In our next feature, we'll share tips to help you kindle that fire for reading in your child.
What are you doing, young man? Didn't I tell you to go do your homework? Get up and go now.
If no one could read, I wouldn't have to do any homework.
There was no teachers or schools. Because no one could ever read, everything was different. Everyone was trying to figure out what was going on. Only little nosy Supposy knew exactly what was wrong. They asked the maybe family that lived next door, but they couldn't really tell. No one knew for sure. And surprisingly, it was even a mystery for the definitely family. Everyone tried to remember, but it was no good. Because no one could ever read, they forgot all they had learned from books. It is The Adventures of Nosy Supposy, and it is to be a series. The first one is Suppose No One Could Read. So what has happened is that because of how my sons were, they asked a lot of questions all the time. My mom used to say a thing to me, suppose your nose was a doorpost where you'd put the inches. So I came up with the whole nosy thing out of that, them being a little curious all the time. So I said, and then they would come with the supposing. But mommy, suppose. So I said, don't be a little nosy supposy. So the name came out of that, really. So I just decided to go with The Adventures so that I could teach little things, little lessons out of life lessons out of Nosy Supposy's adventures. And one point that I noted recently that really helps for parents and children to bond when we no longer read to our children. And it is so important that we do, because it creates that time of bonding between parent and child that is so valuable. And we can't say enough how valuable it is.
Shafdan, wake up. You did your homework yet? Get up, get the book, let us go.
It can be little things. Talk to them in story form. You know, bring up things that will kind of stimulate them wanting to know more. Show them books with pictures too, because we have to know that it is important for them to have pictures to look at, bright colors that will stimulate their mind and their eyes and fascinate them.
In a world where the joy of reading can open countless doors, The Adventures of Nosy Supposy serves as a reminder of the profound impact literacy can have on our lives and the importance of nurturing a love for reading in the next generation.
Say goodbye to the paper trail. Your motor vehicle registration certificate has gone fully digital. No more stickers, no more paper clutter, just one thing you'll need: a valid email address. It's faster, it's safer, it's smarter.
Up next, we're being informed by a couple that is using creative ways to weave culture and tradition into homeschooling.
Meet Ronalda Pearman, homeschooling mother who makes learning an adventure for her child, Tanama. With creativity and enthusiasm, she turns everyday lessons into explorations, showing her dedication to making education both fun and personalized. Together with her husband, Robert Pearman, they ensure that their 6-year-old, Tanama, is given the necessary tools for her homeschool journey.
My Taino ancestry and cultural practices is what really was the driving force behind homeschooling, because as you know now, there is the extinction narrative that all the Tainos died out. However, we aren't, obviously, and so it was very important to me that my child learned her ancestry and also lived the life of it. And so school for me, you know, that was the first, public school for me was the first barrier that started to come up in terms of if they're teaching her that she's dead, she's going to have that continuous struggle to continue to defend who she is. And so it was very instrumental in continuing the legacy in the capacity of homeschooling. It is extremely important that I have a schedule or a routine that is flexible, that will allow for life. And so the morning routine will begin from, say, 7:30. We greet the sun as a part of our cultural practice. We give gratitude, and then from there we'll move into family discussions in our own little devotions. We'll have breakfast, but sometimes breakfast is probably her even assisting me in the kitchen. I also get to structure screen time. So if screen time is probably like 3 hours for the day or 2 hours for the day, then for those screen time, it is very educational and she's learning something from it. Structured learning is from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. it's just outside. So where she's running up and down, she's catching butterflies. She'll learn about the leaf of life. She'll learn about lemongrass or fever grass, aloe vera / Cinco Bible. She will, you know, right now I have little holes in the yard where she'll dig up and break pieces of my plants and plant them, you know. Just her learning about the earth, the soil, you know, the different parts of the tree, a tree life, insects.
Games are fun, hands-on, interactive, and educational. They teach so many skills. So what we do is we ensure that we incorporate games education into her curriculum, and the objective of this is that she has an opportunity to lead in some of these activities. She chooses the games that she wants to play, and we ensure that the options that are available are those that will develop various skills that she will have, right? Problem solving, calculation, various things.
Creating your space, I should make a point, is solely the responsibility of you and your child, because it doesn't make sense you create a space where the child finds uncomfortable. Learning will never happen there. So have a conversation with the child. You know, you have these learning posters. Does she find it scary? Does he find it attractive? Does he want to look on it and point, or reinforce a lesson that he's learned previously and say, oh, so this is what is there. Your learning space doesn't have to be big either. If it is just a small room or a little square, that is solely between you and the child, because learning takes place everywhere. The Jamaican government's education curriculum is one of the best in the world, my opinion. It's very fulsome. You get a lot from it. However, sometimes the tools in which you use to communicate that information to the child may be a little bit lacking, and so sometimes we will have to use a different curriculum to as a tool to navigate those spaces, and in terms of giving the child what they need. So for me right now, I'm working with the Ministry of Education curriculum. I've termed it traditional cultural studies because we don't just teach her Taino culture, but also our Maroon heritage culture. And we have a very good relationship with the Windward Maroons, that's Charlestown, Scottsall, and Moortown Maroon community. And so they also come to our events. We also go to all of their events. I don't want her to miss out on those. How do I decompress? I do gardening. I have my gardening time where I'll, ask my husband to, while they're doing their arts and craft or game schooling, I'm outside, one with the plants. Another way I decompress is painting and coloring. So, and I have my self-care journal.
A part of home education, I want to make this very clear, it is not about educating the child, but everyone in the household, because we're all learning from each other and we're all learning from interaction. So it is critical to view home education not as something isolated and separate from a public system, but it is an integral part that should be added to any type of curriculum or education plan for children of all ages.
Anybody who's going to take on homeschooling must have self-care as a part of their routine because it can become intense. If you know as a homeschooling parent that you're reaching to that point and you have nobody to get a break with, pause. A pause is better than reaction.
Apply to the Heart NSTA Trust. Learn a new skill and expand your horizons. Your government has made it completely free to you.
Raising awareness and fostering open dialogue about menstruation is helping to reduce stigma and period poverty for many women and girls. We now turn the pages to learn more from Her Flow Foundation's Shelly Ann Weeks as she expands public consciousness about managing the menstrual cycle.
Let me tell you, so when I'm on my period, some days I probably can't even come to school. I'm probably in bed, on the floor, wherever I find that little warmth or comfort. Or when the warmth gets too much, I probably just want some cold. It's, confusing. Yeah, man, it really is confusing. And it comes with a really lot of pain.
Hi, I'm Shelly Ann Weeks. I'm the founder and executive director of Her Flow Foundation. I started Her Flow because I had very, very horrible periods most of my life. And I discovered that if I changed my diet and my lifestyle, I can have pain-free periods. And I just wanted to shout it from the mountaintops. And so my first thing that I wanted to do was to tell children that they did not have to go through all of that pain, because I wished somebody told me that. When I went to Holy Trinity, I met a young lady who told me that she uses one pad for 5 days. After I recovered from the shock, I realized that there were students in Jamaican schools who did not have access to menstrual products. At the time, I did not know it was called period poverty, and I discovered that there are women all around the world who are having similar issues where they do not have the means or the access to menstrual products each month when they need it. And that is how the work around period poverty started.
Period poverty, it's a reality that females go through, and I think it's very important that you become educated about what period poverty is and the necessary help that you can receive.
We are currently at UE, where we're about to just go out and give free menstrual products and some other personal care items to the students here on campus, because we know college students need all the help they can get, right? And we're going to make sure that they have what they need here today. Period Awareness Day, the outreach is real. We're going to go out with some of the students and interact, so come with us now, man.
You can call into a job and talk about your diarrhea, your migraine, your asthma, your sore toe, your pussyfoot. everything. But once you say period, you hear things like, I don't need to know that, TMI, and you get no sympathy. When you complain about your period, all you get is annoyance, and nobody wants to hear about it. And so I really think that the silence and keeping it secret feeds into that. And we really need to reshape that, because the truth is that women have been operating in shame and pain for a very, very long time.
When you were younger, periods weren't really talked about. It wasn't really talked about, like you'd be in class, and even if your period came, you'd feel embarrassed, because that happened to me once. And I was really embarrassed, but somebody helped me. And now I feel like it's become the norm. Like everybody knows about it, and majority of women have their period. So I feel like if you need help, you should ask for help, because everybody knows about it. It's not as taboo as it was back then.
HopeFlow Foundation is there for you, and it's kind of simple Instagram click. You can go and find a lot of information about it.
HerFlow is very active online. If you want to find us, we are our website is embraceherflow.com. We're on social media at HerFlow or HerFlow Foundation. Anywhere you go, you can Google us. And I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you to everybody who has supported us since we started almost 10 years ago. I'm just really grateful for the support that we have gotten all this time. And thank you, thank you, thank you. And big ups to all the young ladies who we have assisted in our program.
The Jamaica Productivity Center, JPC, has introduced 3 new toolkits designed to boost efficiency in schools, businesses, and government services. These resources offer practical frameworks to measure performance, close gaps, and drive growth across all sectors. The call is for all Jamaicans to use the toolkits to work smart. Business leaders, make productivity the heart of your culture. Use the toolkits, reward excellence, and treat AI and digital systems as essential to sharpen your edge. Educators, let productivity guide how you teach, embrace technology, mentor students, and instill discipline, effort, and results to build a generation ready for Jamaica's future economy. Public servants, let's lead by example and prove that government can be efficient, responsive, and results-driven. The toolkits are available on the ministry's website at mlss.gov.jm and on the JPC's social media platforms.
Lost receipts can mean big trouble during tax season. The Tax Administration Jamaica TAJ urges businesses to keep these records safe.
Most Jamaicans, from time to time, throw away the receipt. You know, you're doing a business and you bought some stock. But because the quality of each of those receipts fade quickly, they just throw them away. The tax department is advising that you are to keep proper books and records for tax purposes. So if it is going to fade, what do you do first? You would ensure that you either scan it, copy it, and save it in a format that it can be used for future use later on. At least 7 years, the Income Tax Act would put in.
That wraps up today's program. I hope you've not just been informed, but inspired. Join us tomorrow for another exciting and insightful edition of Jamaica Magazine. If you missed any part of today's show, don't worry. You can catch the full recap and explore more stories on our website at jis.gov.jm. I'm Audrey Williams. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.